Yeah. Hey, today on All Cylinders, we're going to be talking about roll cages and rolling on. We're going to roll on. And aluminum racing seats and fire extinguishers and other important stuff.
Did you say we were going to adult today and talk about safety stuff?
Yep.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh, God, come on, God dang it. Yeah, now we are on All Cylinders. Torque wrench, bolts and nuts, gaskets, horsepower stuff. Got the valves, got the pistons. Me and Ricky speaking, we all listening. Y'all are tuned in to On All Cylinders. Hello, everybody. How are you?
How's everybody doing today?
Y'all doing all right?
Son, if I was any better, I'd have to charge you for it.
Whoa.
That's right.
Not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was.
You know, that's a pretty interesting saying.
What?
That's a pretty interesting saying. I helped my buddy push his truck in his garage last night, and he was like, God, you're a hoss. And he didn't know deep inside I was dying.
He said, this shit's killing me.
He was like, this is awful.
Yeah. It's getting old. Age does that.
Hey, don't you cuss me.
Age does that.
I'm just going to blame it on being fat, not old. I can fix being fat.
Right.
Being old, yeah, that sounds like a permanent problem. I can't help it.
I did fix being fat, and old still gets me.
Crap.
So, speaking of fat and thin and old and new and what have you, roll cages.
And it's interesting we're going to talk about this week. I was at the Kentucky Dragway Drag Racers Banquet Saturday. Yeah, and one of the speakers there was Tony Mancini, the guy that had the big wreck on Memorial Day. He's got a dragster that's very capable of 380s. Gave it an unbelievable speech because it was what he lived, and what he spoke about was safety equipment and why it's important. And he could speak on that from a very real event because he lost his hand in a car wreck.
Oh, dang.
And he went through everything that he happened at that time, and how if he had not had the safety equipment that they had. The one thing Aaron Sipple does is not only run the racetrack, but he also has a race car shop. Like, he builds funny cars and stuff like that. So he's like stickler on making sure when you've got what you need to be in there. And speaking of that guy, man, his care for racers is just unbelievable. I hope we were able to get him in here sometime because it'd be really good. But Aaron was really big on making sure this guy had everything he needed, and even with everything he had, he still ended up lost his hand. But that was better than him losing his life.
No doubt.
Literally in the video of the crash, you can see his head come up out of the race car. So, even with the best safety equipment, you can still have something bad happen to you. But with the lack of safety equipment, you're in bad shape. So it's interesting today that we're going to talk about that, and which is funny because you didn't know I was going to that event, and because I didn't know I was going to that event. I got a call and was like, "Hey, what's up?" So, but because I'm not one that's really been a big safety guy. I'm a street car guy. But when you hear and see.
Have a seat belt. We're good.
Right.
I got a windshield.
Right. Well, Saturday really changed my opinion on that. It really did. Right. Because when you see somebody that has the level of success that this guy did, and you see how it has forever altered his life, forever, and you hear his story and talk about how the pain that he went through, and at one point he was like, I don't want to do this anymore as far as just living. To hear him go through that suffering, but then to come through on the other side of that, and now he's an advocate for, hey, I love drag racing still. We're still trying to find a way to make me race a car again, but the only reason I'm able to do this is because I had the proper safety equipment. So exactly. It's a cool topic.
David Comstock. The only reason why Dave Comstock is still with us is because of his safety gear.
Absolutely. For y'all that don't know who David Comstock is,
his car was obliterated.
Yeah.
It was shredded.
don't know who David Kostick is, that's Daddy Dave on the Street Outlaw Show.
Yeah.
I also got to speak with Frank Sodridge, who was there. If you want to look at one of the most spectacular crashes I've ever witnessed ever in my life, look up Frank Sodridge's crash on YouTube. He's out of PSI speed, and it's easily the most spectacular crash I've ever seen. It was terrifying. I was there when he done that, and I've seen a bunch of crashes.
Well, it's not to interrupt, but it's so odd. Safety gear. Mm-hmm. Because you look at something like Ricky Rudd's crash in the Skull Car way back in the 90s.
Right.
Flew across the top of the chain link fence at the NASCAR track, threw parts into the crowd, should have probably killed him.
Absolutely.
He lived, still racing. Mm-hmm. And then you look at something as low speed as Dale Earnhardt's crash.
Well, that just goes to show you the advancement in safety equipment.
Exactly. Yeah, it just... Those cars and those crashes were within the same... Mm-hmm. Build era.
Right.
And to just...
Well, do you know the
freak
device...
accidents happen.
Right.
And just to see the difference and be like, well, damn, you can only prepare so much.
So much. Yeah, well, as you know, I'm a big advocate.
But it's better to be prepared than not prepared.
It's better to have it, not need it, than need it, not have it.
Right.
That's a military statement.
Exactly.
You can't have it.
Through and through.
And you know how I am. I'm a big advocate for faith. And I wholeheartedly believe that when it's your day, it's your day.
Yeah.
However... that doesn't mean the rest of your days can't suck.
Well, that doesn't exactly. That doesn't mean I'm just going to go, without precaution into the wind. Right. And
you got to do your part,
Yeah.
And do you know the device that actually, if Earnhardt Sr. would have had one device, he'd have lived? Do you know what that device was?
Was it a neck brace?
It was the Hans device, which is a form of neck brace, but basically it attaches to your helmet and attaches to your roll cage. So if he'd had that device, which is a requirement now for anything for NASCAR, any sort of circle track racing, and once you go so fast in drag racing, it's still required. Because literally when he hit... he was still running 200 mile an hour when he hit the wall, but it was such an abrupt stop that his body stopped, but his head didn't. So literally, it pulled his spine out of his head. That's what killed him.
Yeah. It's not the speed that does the damage; it's the abrupt.
It's a sudden stop.
Yeah.
Yep. It's kind of like jumping out of an airplane. Jumping out of an airplane is great. The fall is awesome.
Yeah. I
ain't had to have the sudden stop, but I can imagine it's not a good one.
Right. Yeah. I could fly a plane. Landing it's a different thing.
Right, exactly. So yeah, it's good. And you know what I find really particular about safety equipment?
What's that?
And you'll attest to this, is we can go out and spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on going fast. But it's like, I'm not spending $400 on a stupid flame retardant suit.
Right.
That shows you where our priorities are. And it's something that, as a young guy, I guess, before I realized how valuable life was, I really, really was against it. I was like, it's my life. If I don't want to wear it, I shouldn't be made to. But once you start seeing things from the track promotion side, you see that, hey, that is a liability,
Well, not only is it the cost over equipment kind of deal, I could also see it as being a when am I going to catch on fire deal?
Right.
Like, what are the odds that I would catch on fire?
Which goes back to as an older guy, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Because when you need it and you don't have it, it's a bad day.
Right. There's many reasons not to buy safety equipment that you could justify to yourself.
But none of them are the right reasons.
None of them are the right reasons.
Like, I would tell anybody listening to this podcast, and I am going to eat crow. I will wear the crow proudly. After hearing... I've been able to talk to some people over the course of the last year that were in horrendous wrecks that didn't come out of it unscathed. There's a lot of people that are in these bad wrecks that are like, we're like, I'm fine, so I'm good. And then there's people that, burn in their cars and stuff like that have to live afterwards, or I should say get to live afterwards, and hear their stories to where they're like, oh, if I didn't have this, I wouldn't even be here now. So that's made me really change my opinion on safety equipment, because I've been a very anti-safety equipment guy. I've been that guy that's like, hey, it's your car, your life, do what you want. But what I've realized now, especially, since I have been involved with a little bit of the business side of drag racing versus just doing drag racing, is that it's not you. It's not about you. Okay, it's you don't want to, as a track promoter or a track owner or anything of that matter, you don't want to have to go to that person's husband or that person's wife or that person's kids and say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't enforce the rules enough,
right?
And I allowed your significant other now is dead." You know, because that's something you got to wear. You know, if you're the track promoter, if you're the track owner, you're the one running the track, you're the safety person. That's on you. You know, that's the same as like when I think about going to the military, right? That's the same as like you're a non-commissioned officer and you're checking your subordinates and you're just like, I'm not going to check, make sure you've got all your ammo today. I'm not going to check, make sure you got food and water.
Everybody else's parachute is fine.
Yeah, exactly. You know, what's the chances of it really not working? You know, we'll be good. You know, and that's why it's so important, man. It really is. And like I said, I wear the crow on my face proudly because I've been an advocate about everything against that. But man, when you talk to enough people that, you know, have made it through some really horrendous stuff, you start going, okay, well, maybe this stuff is a little different than what I know. Especially with the speed of our cars today, man. Stuff's so fast.
As a youth, I was all over dirt bikes and go-karts and four-wheelers and things like that. And I wasn't much on helmets and things of that nature when I was a kid. But now, you know, my son rides.
Exactly.
And I ride with him. So I have to get my gear. And I tell him, you know, we go over safety checks on the bikes. We go over safety checks on the gear before we ride. And he gets Dad, why are we doing this? We checked it last time. Right, but last time something else could have happened.
Right.
You know, you could have ripped something and not seen it. You know, one of your fasteners on your chest plate could have broken. You're not seen it between them. Like, you have to take care of the gear that takes care of you.
PMCS, baby. PMCS.
You know, I mean, it's that simple. I mean, it's 15 minutes at just looking over your plastics and making sure that you're good.
Yep.
You know, it's cleaning your goggles so that you don't get a glare. You know, making smart choices if you're going to be in the cold or not. Just being smart about it. You know,
and the best way to continue to make sure that we do that, and then it's something that they talked about at the banquet today or Saturday, was consistency. Get yourself in a routine.
Get it in a habit.
Get it in a habit to where you don't have to think about it. Like you know,
when you're in a habit, you're not looking at it as a chore.
Correct.
It's just something to do.
Right. It's just part. It's part of the process.
Right.
You know, and again. There's going to be quite a few buddies of mine that hear this podcast, and they're going to kick me in the teeth with it, and that's okay.
You'll have your grill guard in.
That's right. I'll have my grill. Well played, sir. Well played. Good job, Glenn. 10 points for Glenn.
I got my helmet.
I got my helmet. Which, and that all comes back to my biggest YouTube video. I got in a car that went incredibly fast with no safety gear on. Looking back at that now.
Could have been the last time you went incredibly fast.
Time. Did it make for a great video? Yes. Did I take some precautionary measures? Not as many as I should.
Right.
However, I caught a lot of flack for that video, and I was genuinely upset with them for being genuinely upset with me. You know,
how dare you care about me, damn
Don't you tell me what to do. I'm Ricky D.
Don't you dare show any concern for my safety.
That's right.
I'll be haphazard if I want to.
It's my life. You know, so
you only die once.
So
sorry.
I'm openly saying that I'm willing to wear the crow. It's fine. I will never take a chance like that ever again. And I don't think anybody listening to this or anybody that has a friend that you know, don't take those chances, man. Get your safety equipment. You know the difference between, know the rules to what you need, you know.
And if you're going to spend for the helmet, don't get the $40 helmet. Put some money in your stock.
Know the DOT ratings on, man. You know, know what you need to have.
Exactly. That's what I was about to get into. Different speeds, different things required, different safety gear.
Roger. And I'm not going to act like I'm a self-proclaimed expert on this stuff because I'm not. What I know is that you have to have a certain DOT rating to go a certain mile an hour. I can't recite what that is off the top of my head, but I know to look that up now. And that's something that, like I said, over the course of last year, I've not been concerned with. But now I know. You know, I've always had a bunch of buddies that are chassis builders, so I've never had to really look into, how fast this needs to be before it does this and that. But over the course of last year, especially with my buddy building a 25-2 car, I realized, how important that is, and it's funny because I'm a lifelong advocate of drag racing, and I didn't take that serious. So I can only imagine the people out there that,
I mean, motorsports in general, be it four-wheel motocross, autocross, drag racing, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has safety. Because motorsports is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's uncontrollable in most cases. It's unforeseeable. That's why they say it's a spectator sport.
Mm-hmm.
Because those are the most safe. Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, you got to have balls to push yourself in a car to those limits.
Yeah.
You
Or
also
anything,
got to
yeah.
have the brains to watch your balls.
Have the foresight to look out for yourself.
I mean, you got to be smart, but you got to be a little bit crazy too.
Well, yeah.
But just be smart about it.
Right.
You know.
Do the right thing, know the difference between a roll cage and a roll bar.
Right.
Know the difference, know the rules when you go to the track. I've always been an advocate of if you go 10.99 or faster in a quarter mile or 150, well, at 10.99 you need a 6-point cage, or technically that's not considered a cage, that's a roll bar. It's not considered a cage until you have a firewall or a floor modification, and then at that point it has to have a halo in the top of it with down bars, and that makes it a cage. But 10.99 or faster, have a 6-point cage in the car. If you're going to go faster than that, then you need to have an actual roll cage in the car. And we're hoping to have a chassis builder in here soon to be able to explain the eaches of exactly which is which on those, because like I said, we're not experts on it. But
and the technology is changing. I mean, there's the downside bars. There's swing-in bars. There's
swing out bars and everything.
I mean, all kinds. Yeah, swing outs. I mean, there's so many different fasteners and ways to build things, and so many tracks of okayed things, and then no, you got to change this. I mean, it's a lot to keep up on.
It really is.
But then again,
it's part of the process.
Better than being dead.
Yeah.
Right.
Something that I learned is, did you know that in 2010 the NHRA made a change to the roll bar requirement for the speeds for any car made from 2010, previous to 2010, or from 2010 and beyond. You can run 950 in a car that is made in 2010 because of government regulations for the airbags and where they're at. Mm-hmm. You can run 950 without having to have any sort of external cage modification or anything like that. At 949, you got to put stuff in the car. So another reason for, if you're looking to get into drag racing and you can afford to do that, then start with something that's a 2010, because your safety equipment's going to be a little cheaper.
So, well, let's get into this then. Okay. Just aside from the roll cages and everything, and what your thoughts on this are. The Dodge Demon.
Super impressed by it.
They wouldn't let it run on the tracks because it didn't have a roll cage.
Okay, so that's a cloudy.
Right. But that was the thing that was going around. Everybody was like, "Oh, you can't run it because it's got no roll cage," and you're thinking, "Well, it's got the highway safety standards and crash testing for that car rated at that speed."
Dodge shot themselves in the foot. They said the car went 949.
Right.
That's why it had to have. That's why they kicked it off. That's why they had to dial it back. They went out there. They went 949. That's actually why I know the rule on the 2010 change was because of the Demon.
I figured that's what the change was for.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure from somebody that had a little more in-depth information on the situation.
But yeah, that's exactly why. Those cars, they're incredibly fast. Now, I will tell you this. I announced at the Demon and Hellcat race last year at Kentucky Dragway.
Heck yeah.
I didn't see any of them go 949 in stock form. None of them. They all went 990s, 980s. So why Dodge claimed that they would go that fast? Maybe optimal track, optimal temperature, optimal perfect run.
Barometric pressures and the fuel ratio and their tuners on their track at this time of day.
Which, I mean, I'm sure that car is capable of going that fast. But I'm saying in stock form, it's not going to go that fast. In stock form, it's and I use huge air quotes here. It only runs 980s.
In Texas, yeah, and here, no.
Right. Stupid mountains, who?
Yeah, our air density really messes with our racing.
And when you get into the safety aspect of things, man, and my mind's really, like I said, it's been open to this a lot lately because I I've been exposed to more things than just drag racing over the last little bit. I'm really liking the side-by-side stuff. I'm liking the rock buggy type stuff. Man, to see the safety requirements that go into that, brother, I'm telling you right now, people, if you push college on your kids and they want to work something with their hands, you're wrong. There is so much money to be made out there by somebody that knows how to bend pipe, weld pipe, and stretch tubes, dude. I'm telling you right now. If your kid wants to work with their hands and they want to make a bunch of money and they want to work for themselves, tell them to learn how to weld and learn how to bend pipe. They will make a killing.
But what if I want to be a saltwater bioengineer and live in Tennessee?
Well, we might have a problem right there.
I majored in Atlantic Ocean Studies and I live in Nebraska.
I guess if they lived in Tennessee, they could work at the aquarium. You can work at the Ripley's or not aquarium, but that's about it. So yeah, that's there's so much. It's so funny how there's not a whole lot in this country that is ours. A lot of stuff, a lot of the things that we love come from other countries because we're a mixing pot of countries. But the two
racing is ours.
The two things that we have of this country that is ours is rock and roll.
Yes.
And hot rods.
Yes, absolutely.
Like we're the founders of that.
Yes.
So it's crazy to think how much potential you can have to make a very exquisite living in any form of motorsports, regardless of what you want to choose to do. And literally, you can do it in a degree format now. You can go get a degree in safety. So if you're a welder or you're a fabricator and you have a degree in safety, you already qualify to work for the NHRA. There you go. Go make your money. Matter of fact, I think I just changed my major.
There you go.
Stevie Fast, I'm coming for you.
Hey, the guy that helped me learn how to weld is a nuke welder.
Wow.
Yeah. He can weld backwards with a mirror.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I was like, I'm not going to get to that level. But just knowing that there's people that do that.
Oh, yeah, man. It's crazy. I served with a guy in Iraq and Afghanistan in the same platoon, same squad, everything. His name was Everett Ball. I'll drop his name. He's a great guy. He won't mind. He was a state certified teacher of welding at 19. He went to NASA. They flew him to NASA to reverse weld. I'm probably butchering the terminology. All I remember is that he was flown there to do a 45-minute weld on a steel called Inconel.
Huh.
And he was like one of 8 people in the country that was available to do it at the time. Something crazy. So
Dang.
NASA flew him and his wife down there. And this is a guy that was in the infantry, okay? No degree, doesn't want a degree. Literally, he can weld anything he wants to.
Just a hell of a welder.
Yeah, he picks it up and he's like that's it. That's the guy that showed me the very little bit about welding I know.
He got a PhD in welderonomy.
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 That's a Glenism right there, boys. Y'all welcome.
Glennis. Those probably exist and I'm not even aware of it.
Oh, I'm
Till
sure.
now. No.
God dang it.
God dang it.
So we were talking about safety and stuff. Do you know the mile an hour that you can't go faster than X mile an hour before you have to have a parachute on your car?
It was like 180?
No, it's 150.
150,
at
really?
150 mile an hour, you have to have a parachute on your car if your car is over 3,200 pounds.
Really?
Yes. There's a weight factor there that matters. I think if you're in a dragster that's 1,800 pounds, then you can go 180.
Okay. Well, that's cool. What about what was I going to ask you about the big thing? Oh, yes. Fire extinguishing.
Fire suppression systems are amazing.
Yes.
The technology on that has become so much.
Systems and direct systems.
It's funny because a lot of this stuff is derived from technology that we had in the military. Like I remember when we fielded the Bradleys, the fire suppression system in there is basically, it's almost identical to what you would put inside of a race car. What it does is it shoots out this white powder stuff that literally all it does is suck all the oxygen air.
PKP.
Yeah, well, there you go.
That's what I did in the Navy.
Oh, you did make it right here, boy. And Kyle, what was his name? I'll think of his name in a minute. But there was a guy that raced a Corvette, and he races the Tooth Jerker now. And he burned up at a racetrack.
Oh no! I feel bad for joking now.
Oh no, you're fine. He jokes about it worse than you do. I promise you.
God dang it.
But he was at the Georgia Ducks race, No Mercy, and had a fuel line bust or something in his Corvette, so it just caught on fire. And if he had not had the fire system on, he would have been way more burnt than he is now. But he's permanently disfigured. So what he's done is he's taken that bad experience, and now he's one of the front runners of fire suppression stuff. So it's crazy to see how you can take technology that was derived from the military, and then it can expand into, some of the fastest race cars in the world. The fastest race cars in the world. All of the stuff that runs like 4.0s and under. All that stuff has to have the one specific fire suppression system in it, because it's the only thing that reacts fast enough in order to keep the people from burning up. Because when you start running methanol for fuel, which is what these guys are running, it burns so fast that you can't see it.
Can't see it.
Yeah, it's just clear.
It's an invisible flame.
Yeah,
and that's. Don't let the invisible fire burn my friend.
Right.
It absolutely does.
It absolutely will.
Yes. And you can't tell that it's burning them is the scary thing.
Right. Your skin just falls off.
Yeah.
And so it's again, I am absolutely I will take all the beatings for this, because I've done some stuff that was pretty ridiculously dumb, that was very unsafe.
We all have.
Exactly. But I put it on YouTube, so I'll take it.
Hey, there's far more idiotic things on YouTube.
Oh, I know.
Than what you put on there, I guarantee it.
Oh, I promise.
Oh, Lord, YouTube.
And then all the stuff that has started in my life like this. Oh, my beer, y'all, watch this.
Yeah, YouTube is like a 15-year-long seminar on safety.
Yes.
Itself. It's like,
if you want to figure out what not to do.
Yes.
Literally, if I ever have a kid, that's what's going to happen. I'm like, all right, boy, you want to get into drag racing? Watch this. Boom. This is what we don't do right here. Boom.
Time for the fails video.
Yeah. So if you're going to get into any motorsports out there, folks, any motorsports, and regardless of how fast you think you're going to go or how much you think you're not going to get hurt, man, don't take the chance on getting hurt. Don't take the chance of putting yourself in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. Don't take the chance of causing your kids to grow up without you. Don't take the chance of having your wife or husband have to raise their kids without you. It's not worth it, man. If you're going to put all this money into something that's going to be there for your entertainment purposes only, then take whatever money it takes to put some safety equipment on your butt so you don't get hurt.
Right. Don't have one of them fly-by-night fab shops do your roll cage.
Oh, you about to get in my feels.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's it, man.
Make sure that your builder is a qualified builder.
I understand cage work is expensive. I have buddies that do cage work. I understand, but you know why it's expensive?
Because it's worth it.
It's just like a divorce. It's worth it.
I did not say that. That's a Ricky D-ism.
That's a Ricky D-ism right there.
D-ism?
It's actually on
it's a Willie Nelson.
Willie Nelsonism, yeah, from Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah.
But yeah, seriously, the reason why quality cage work is so expensive is because it's worth it. You have to ask yourself, what's your life worth?
Yeah.
How much are you worth to the people that love you? How much are you worth? And then tell me why you don't want to give $5,000 for a cage in your car.
Yep.
You're willing to give $5, $6, $7, $8, $30, $40, $50,000 for a motor transmission combination, but you ain't willing to spend $5 or $5,000 to put a cage in there to save your ass.
Right.
Your priorities are jacked up. You need to have a conversation with yourself. So
there's ways that you can save if you don't go with chrome moly. Of course, it's lighter, but it's going to cost more.
There's certain speeds where you have to have.
Well, you have to have chrome moly.
Right.
But the average hot rodder.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can use a full steel cage.
Mild steel cage.
Right.
I think it's 0.58 wall thickness.
If you're only going that fast, you're not going to have a $12,000 cage.
No, $13.99 is where they start requiring a roll bar. Roll bar, which is different than a roll cage. A lot of people get them confused. A roll bar basically gives you a main hoop, and then you've got a down bar that goes down one driver's side door, or down the driver's side door, down the passenger side door. Then you've got an outrigger that goes from the main bar to the back of the car, two of those, and then that's pretty much your basic 6-point stuff that will take you from $13.99 to like $10.99. So that's a big jump, you know.
Safe isn't always expensive.
No, I mean, okay, so let's say you get somebody, you can't afford to go to a chassis shop to have cage work done. Man, get on Jags and Summit. They've got pre-bent cages. They might not fit the best. They might not be the most luxurious thing out there, but let's face it, man, if you're running 10s and slower, you're not trying to be John Force. You know, I know that because the fastest I've been in my own car is 10:01, you know. I mean, I was at 145 mile an hour. I was going to throw that out there.
I've seen people flip cars and trucks under 10 mile an hour.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely possible.
Absolutely.
To roll your stuff at under 10 mile an hour.
Exactly.
Seen it happen.
Absolutely.
But the amount of rolling.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, you know.
You might roll it once and skid a little bit. I myself have put a vehicle on its top.
I've done it. It's no fun.
It is, but it didn't crush me.
Mm-hmm.
Had I flipped 5 or 6 more times, yes, that would have absolutely been decimated.
Absolutely.
Beat to a pole.
Excuse me. And then, you know, it's not just drag racing, and I'm guilty for this. I've everything in my life revolves around drag racing. I've got a drag racing sleeve that Mr. Glenn done for me here. I mean, I love drag racing. But having the platform that we have, you know, eventually we're going to reach people that do different motorsports. So something that I want to talk about is when you get into any motorsport, make sure you know the safety requirements for whatever you're going to be doing. Whether you're racing you know, for me, I use drag racing analogies like if you're racing a 13-second car, you need to know what a 13-second car needs. If you're riding a motorcycle, you need to know what DOT helmet you need. If you're doing rock crawling, you know, that kind of stuff, you need to know what kind of safety equipment that you need. And that falls on you. Don't get mad at a track promoter or a track manager when you show up and you can't do what you want to do because you didn't do what you needed to do prior to getting there. All you're going to do is make your time bad. You're going to make the track promoter's time bad. You're going to cause yourself to have a bad relationship there, no matter what kind of track you're at. And it's just going to be bad for you. So do your due diligence. A lot of us will take the time to figure out what, you know, metal valve we need to be a little bit lighter so we can go a little bit faster. We will research that to the death, you know, or, you know, we'll research the, you know, whatever we need to get the best deal to the death, but we don't take time to spend 5 minutes to look at the safety requirements for what we need. And then we get upset when we get there and we can't run. So do yourself a favor, do your family a favor, look into all the safety requirements to know what you need before you get there, no matter what kind of racing event you're going to. That way you're not out your money, because I think that's a lot of time what puts such a bad taste in people's mouth over safety equipment is that we don't research it. So when we show up, we think we ought to get a pass. Well, my car's only going to go this fast, you know. And again, I will put myself on blast. You know, in 2010, we went down and raced the LSX Fest in Memphis. I had a Pro Charge car at the time. Well, I had made passes in the car, no problem. And they were like, do you have a dry shaft safety loop on your car? Which is like one of the first safety requirements out there. You know, you don't even got to be fast to have that. And I was like, well, we forgot to put that on there. I just never had one. And they were like, well, okay, we'll go ahead and let you make a pass. Let me tell you what that pass cost me. It cost me my favorite car that I've ever had, minus my 67 Camaro. Because the dry shaft come out at 130 mile an hour. And it literally poked a hole through the floorboard. Yep. It cracked the transmission, the casing, and it broke the block in half because it was aluminum block. So literally, I was so disgusted that I parted the car out and got rid of it. And literally, I've not had anything fast since. And that's 1,000,000% my fault for not doing what I needed to do. So you can literally let your ego get in the way on the safety stuff enough to where you can talk yourself out of your hobby. You can lose your hobby. So take the time, learn what you need, have that stuff put on. All it's going to do is increase your enjoyment of what you have, because you're not going to get kicked off the track. You're not going to get kicked out of the racing event. You're going to feel safe going down the track, or you'll feel safe doing whatever other motorsport event that you're doing. So, you know, kind of look at it as not, well, I have to do this, as more so of a way of, well, doing this, I'm going to enjoy what I have more.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I got to say about that.
Right. Well, no one wants to end up with the Riverside top, so it happens though.
Absolutely.
You know, tell my son about wrecking his dirt bike. It's not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. Yep. I mean, you're going to make mistakes. Equipment does fail. Mm-hmm. I've been, you know, four-wheeling and have had my truck die going up a hill.
Oh, yeah.
That is sketchy as hell feeling. Yeah. When you lose power, you're looking straight up. I mean, that's it's a scary feeling.
Absolutely.
I'm going to roll backwards. I mean,
with no cage, with no power system,
no helmet, no seat harness, nothing to hold me in this thing as I'm tumbling down a 300-foot hill. I mean,
and it could have been the end of you. Once you have that event, and do you get a warning sometimes? Yeah, like you got a warning during that time. It's
every now and then.
Every now and then. But what if that one time you don't get a warning?
Yeah.
And you're dead.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as much as we love motorsports, because trust me, we do. Glenn and I have a very different array of things that we do. He four wheels and drag races and dirt bikes and that kind of stuff. I like to go four wheeling. I like drag racing and I like doing hot rod stuff. But at the end of the day, we want to continue to be able to do that. And if we don't do the safety requirements, then, we're going to make the people that we love the most, that have sacrificed the most while we do what we like to do, we're going to make them hate what we do, because what we're loving to do is going to take us from them.
It's hard to remember a shift pattern when you take a brick to the head and lose your memory.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
Come on. Other than that, we'd like to wish you all... Oh, not even that. Who's the chassis builder that you wanted to?
His name is Justin Quillen. He owns Outlaw Chassis Fabrication out of South Point, Ohio. He's also a former Marine. Well, I'll get corrected here. He's a Marine. That is prior service.
Right.
Because once you're a Marine, you're always a Marine.
Yeah.
So, but he's a very knowledgeable guy, and he wants to come down here at the end of the month and be able to, he's got a very in-depth view of safety equipment when it comes to the chassis building realm. Not just drag racing. He specializes in drag racing stuff, but he knows the whole realm of what you need for a lot of different things.
And that's all this episode was basically about, an introduction to safety gear and what to expect on when we have him on here.
Right, because he will talk over our heads. But don't worry, you've got me here, and I will tell him, like, hey, dumb it down a little bit so we can understand what you're saying.
And I'd just be here like, yeah.
Sounds good.
I concur.
Roger that. Oh, that sounds like a mighty fine plan, sir. Mighty fine.
Oh, well, I really like your outlook on that view.
Yeah.
And the season is upon us. Racing season.
For some people. They just
it's just our weather,
Yes. Oh, yeah, this is beautiful right now. I'm just worried that February's going to crush us.
That's all right. I'll take 1 month.
Oh, me too. Well, there's a lot of racing going on down south right now. Bradenton just had their first big points race.
Yeah.
The X275 stuff is already getting rolling. In February, baby, we're going to South Georgia Motorsports Park, going to watch the greatest small tire drag racing on the world, baby. I love it. I can't wait to go.
And,
it's the season is upon us. I mean, we're ready to do things that make you go fast and make your butthole pucker.
That's right. Kentucky Dragway. It's gonna be hitting on all everything here.
Everything,
soon.
man. Kentucky Dragway's got so much going on this year. We've got
we'll list events coming up as they come up out there.
And then we would like to reach out to I-64 as well as the London track, see what they've got going on, and then here's another thing. If you guys are listening to this and you follow us on the Facebook page, please give us like I said, I'm primarily a drag racer, but I know there's a lot more motorsports stuff out there. There's a lot of stuff that I don't know, and I don't know where to look to find events and stuff. So if you're part of any sort of motorsports, and there's an event going on that's local, do us a favor, man. Jump on the Facebook page, on All Cylinders Facebook page. Jump on there and say, hey, we're doing X, Y, Z. Who knows? Maybe me and Glenn will get to come out there and cover it for you. We don't know. So, the more active you guys are in helping us promote what we're doing, the more active we're going to be in help promoting what you want to do. It's a tit for tat kind of thing. So jump on the Facebook page, guys, and if there's some kind of a local event going on, or even not local event, but there's something that you want to see covered or hear us talk about, jump on there, and if we can do it, we will.
Yep. And just speaking of the season being upon us, a lot of us are finishing our wintertime projects or our teardowns and rebuilds. So check those bolts. Check those wire ties. Make sure that everything is in its place. Nothing loose rattling around. Just give everything a good once over, maybe a twice over. Let's have a good season.
Amen to that.
All right. And on that note,
y'all keep it between the ditches, baby.